Good morning and welcome to yet another wonderful session of poem explanation. This poem is taken from your Honeydew book from lesson 7 when I set out for Lyonnesse. The poet of this poem is Thomas Hardy. Before I begin explaining the poem, let me give you a brief introduction of the great poet Thomas Hardy. Thomas Hardy, the son of a stonemason, was born in Dorset, England on June 2, 1840. He was trained as architect and worked in London and Dorset for 10 years. Hardy began his writing career as a novelist, publishing Desperate Remedies in 1871 and was soon successful enough to leave the field of architecture for writing. He died on 11th January 1928. When I Set Out for Lyonnesse by Thomas Hardy. As a young apprentice architect, British poet and novelist, Thomas Hardy once visited a parish to supervise the restoration work of a church. Now, what is this restoration? That is the renovation work. Restoration means a renovation of some dilapidated building. And here that building is church. And what is parish? In the Christian church, a small administrative district typically having its own church and a priest. That is a particular area that falls under the jurisdiction or during the region, under the region of any particular church. On his return from the parish, people noticed two things about him: a new glow in his eyes and a crumpled piece of paper sticking out of his coat pocket. That paper, it is recorded in one of his biographies, contained the draft of a poem. You're going to read that very poem, inspired by a visit to a place which the poet calls Lyonnesse. Let me recite the poem first for you. When I set out for Lyonnesse, 100 miles away, the rime was on the spray, and starlight lit my lonesomeness. When I set out for Lyonnesse, 100 miles away. You can observe the first two lines are being repeated here in the end of the stanza. The same is being repeated in every stanza. What would bechance at Lyonnesse while I should sojourn there? No prophet does declare, nor did the wisest wizard guess. What would bechance at Lyonnesse while I should sojourn there? When I return from Lyonnesse with magic in my eyes, all marked with mute surmise, my radiance rare and fathomless. When I return from Lyonnesse with magic in my eyes. This poem has a clear beginning, middle, end structure. The beginning is setting out. This is a beginning. Setting out to a place which poet mentions as a Lyonnesse. Lyonnesse is actually mythical. That is just a myth. Such place does not exist in actual. But poet calls it so to create a mystical, a magical effect because he was greatly influenced by that place and he himself found a transformation within. The middle is sojourn, about his stay at that place, and the end is the return, that is back to his hometown. The poet says that he had gone for the restoration work of a church. When he started, he hardly knew that the visit would be so invigorating, means making one feel strong, healthy, and full of energy. It proved to be like visiting Lyonnesse, a mystical place. When he left for the parish, it was very cold evening. The parish was 100 miles away, and the foliage was covered with frost. The stars guided his lonesome path. He had to stay at the parish for some time. In that short period, he found something happening to him. It was an inner change, which was sudden and unexpected. The poet says that at the start of his journey, no one could think of such a change in him. No prophet or wizard could have guessed the happening there. When the poet returned from the parish, everyone noticed a glow in his eyes. They didn't speak a word. However, they were impressed by the deep radiance of his eyes. Now let's take the poem stanza by stanza and I'll explain it. I would request keep your pencils ready, underline the difficult words and try to mark the meaning in the book itself with pencil. When I set out for Lyonnesse 100 miles away. Lyonnesse means it's a lost land. A region actually, it was located near Cornwall in southwest England and was supposed to have been submerged by the sea. Submerged by the sea means the sea overtook that land. That land was buried by the sea. And he goes to that particular place and he says that that place is 100 miles away from where he stays. The rime was on the spray and starlight lit my lonesomeness. Now what is the rime? Rime is covered with frost. You can see here I have given the picture of rime, frost. Okay, and spray, large number of leaves and branches. Okay, so the rime covered the branches and leaves all over the way. Now, what does this indicate? This indicates that the time, the evening when the poet set out for Lyonnesse for that particular destination, it was very cold evening and there was snow all around and he was all alone for his journey and starlight lit my lonesomeness. That indicates the poet was all alone during his journey and the only companion that he had during his night visit was the starlight. It guided him. It gave him company during his journey during the night. When I set out for Lyonnesse 100 miles away. Lonesome means feeling loneliness. Next stanza. What would bechance at Lyonnesse while I should sojourn there? Now here, what is the meaning of bechance? Bechance means happen or to find something by chance. And sojourn, stay somewhere temporarily. Okay, when you go for some picnic or tours, you go and stay there temporarily and you come back home. The same way, where the poet is also going to that place, particular place, just for a temporary visit. He's staying there temporarily and then he'll be returning after some time. So nobody knows what he himself doesn't know, that what is going to happen to him when he is sojourning there. That is when he is staying in that particular place. That is, he mentions as Lyonnesse. No prophet does declare. No prophet. Who is prophet? Prophet is a holy man. Prophet is a holy man, holy person. He is a proclaimer of the will of God. Not even a prophet can declare what is going to happen to him. Dust. Dust means it's a simple past tense of dare. The prophet cannot dare declare. Nor dare the wisest wizard. Wizard means a person who performs magics. And wizards are usually considered as evil people. Okay, so he is telling neither the holy man like prophet nor any wizard can guess what is going to happen to him when he is staying there? What would bechance at Lyonnesse while I should sojourn there? Next stanza. When I returned from Lyonnesse with magic in my eyes. Now he's telling about his return. He completed the work in Lyonnesse. The restoration work is done and now he's coming back to the town. And when he himself has noticed that some transformation has happened to him. Some change has happened within. Some spiritual change has happened within and there is magic in his eyes. Okay. All marked with mute surmise. Mute means temporarily speechless, not to speak. Surmise. Suppose that something is true without having evidence to confirm it. So, all marked with mute surmise. So, everybody noticed the radiance, the glow in his eyes, the magic in his eyes. But everyone was mute. Nobody uttered a word to him. And it was a surmise. They all thought that there is a change. There is a change in him. But there was no evidence about the change in him. About the reason behind the glow in his eyes. My radiance rare and fathomless. That is the radiance. Radiance means light emitted or reflected by something. Fathomless, unable to be measured or understood. So he's telling that there was a light, a natural light, a spiritual light was radiating out of his body, his eyes. And the radiance cannot be measured, cannot be understood. And everybody understood this. They were observing there is some change in him, but they had no evidence of that. When I returned from Lyonnesse with magic in my eyes, by Thomas Hardy. Now let's take the rhyme scheme used by Thomas Hardy in this poem. For rhyme scheme, as I've told you earlier also, you only take the last words of the poem and then you see which all words are rhyming. The similar rhyming words are headed with similar alphabet. Lioness, lonesomeness, Lyonnesse. They all rhyme the same, so we have given it A. Away, spray, away, B, and so on is followed. Besides, for the poetic device, the poet has used alliteration. What is alliteration? It is occurrence of same letter or sound at the beginning of the adjacent or closely connected words. So what are all the alliteration he has used here? Should sojourn, what would, should sojourn, does declare, wisest wizard, radiance red. These are the alliterations used in the poem. Now what is repetition? Repetition is the same sentences are being used in the beginning and end of the poem. Now for repetition, the poet has used when I set out for Lyonnesse 100 miles away. When I set out for Lyonnesse 100 miles away. What would bechance at Lyonnesse while I should sojourn there? When I return from Lyonnesse with magic in my eyes. I hope you understood the poem. Thank you.